So welcome to the 2024 Candidates Night hosted by the League of Women Voters of Hingham. We are fortunate to have Harbor Media airing the event live for our community tonight. My name is Liza O'Reilly. I'm a member of the League's steering committee. Our veteran moderator, Elizabeth Foster Nolan, was not available to join us this evening. I hope to be an appropriate fill-in on this one-time basis for this evening's program. The League of Women Voters of Hingham is a nonpartisan political organization that encourages citizens to take an informed and active role in government. This year, Hingham is in the unusual position of having no contested races for any office. The League strongly advocates for voter education and involvement, and with that in mind, we believe in voters' rights and responsibility to meet and know the officials who are working so hard on our behalf. Therefore, the League decided to proceed with a program that will provide the candidates with an opportunity to introduce themselves, highlight their credentials, and explain why they are running for office, or for the incumbents to share their accomplishments. We have invited each candidate to share a 5-minute statement. We will follow the time format strictly in order to end the evening in a timely manner. As in the past, timers will be seated in the front row of the audience to assist you with time limits. I will stop speakers who overextend their allotted time, as per usual. Candidates are being presented in the order they appear on the ballot. A few candidates are not able to attend tonight, and I will read a statement on their behalf. So, let's get started, and I invite our first group of candidates to join us at the table. And so we have moderator, select board, board of assessors, and the municipal light board candidates. So, our first candidate to introduce you to is the candidate for a 1-year term as moderator. So Michael Puzo is a candidate for re-election.
Thank you, Liza, and thank you, of course, to the League. I am Michael Puzo. I have had the privilege of serving as Hingham Town Moderator since 2012, and it has been a wonderful opportunity to participate in the life of the town. To me, the commitment the town has maintained to open town meeting is an essential element of the town's character. I often say it's kind of part of our DNA. Often I'll talk to people and they'll say, gee, I'm surprised that Hingham has open town meeting given the size of the community. And I do feel that it is essential that as we assemble as the legislative body of the town, that we do so kind of horizontally across the full spectrum of the community, where every citizen who chooses, and I hope you choose, to take part in the meeting does so with voice and vote. I see someone out collecting signatures for a Congress member today. We're used to representative government in the United States, and even at the state level, we vote for our representatives. If you have a representative town meeting, you'd have people who serve from different precincts. And I think it's natural to bring to bear your constituency, your particular geographic issues. In open town meeting, you come as a community, you gather as a community. And I think that the commitment the town has maintained to open town meeting is essential, and may it continue. The role of moderator, of course, is to preside at the meeting, and not to run the meeting, but rather to organize the meeting, to prepare ahead of time. I spend, as you might imagine, considerable time with the warrant to embrace it, to internalize it, and to give, hopefully, the voters confidence that the meeting is fair, it is open, that the debate is rational, it is civil, it has a pace to it, and that's an important part of what I do. I've learned a lot over the, whatever it's been, 12 or 13 years I've had the position, and I look forward with your assistance to being elected. I guess since I have no opponent, it would be somewhat of an embarrassment not to be reelected, but I've been embarrassed before. So, the less visible role the moderator has is to share with the select board the responsibility of appointing citizens of the town to various boards and committees. Hingham is very fortunate. There's something called the gavel line, which is essentially a moderator kind of chat room or something. I spend very little time on it, but, you know, I look at it from time to time. And one thing is clear is that there are many communities that have a dearth of people who step up and offer to serve. It's hard, of course, to get people to run for offices. I suppose that's why we have no contested elections. I could conclude it's because we're all so wonderful, no one wants to throw us out of office. But in many communities, they just can't get people to volunteer. Hingham is blessed with many people who step up to offer service to the town. Even during the pandemic, when it was at its height, and we were doing all interviews on Zoom, we had 60, 65, 70 people offering service to the town. So we have a wealth of people who make Hingham a priority. And when I looked at the master plan, for example, there was a consistent theme of maintaining the character of the town. You know, it was historic, it was natural resources, it was housing, it was all sorts of specific indicia of what people thought was the character of the town. But I would submit to you that it starts with the meeting. The fact that I said, you know, the United States, for whatever flaws we have, and they're legion, we're committed to self-governance. We are committed to be, you know, as we learned in school, government of the people, by the people, and for the people. It is at its purest here in this community. It makes the town run. It makes us take ownership of our budget, of our schools, of our zoning, of our housing, our commitment to open space, to seniors, to young people. So we make it happen. I look forward to town meeting on the 24th, and presumably I'll at least be able to do that one. So if I don't get elected a few days later, it's been a great run. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So next, we have our select board candidate for a 3-year term, and Elizabeth Klein is a candidate for re-election.
Excellent. Thank you, Liza. Thank you to the League for hosting the annual Candidates Night. As we gather here, I'm reminded of the invaluable role that you play in promoting civic engagement and democracy. Thank you to the other candidates for being here. Hingham's success relies on citizens being engaged and stepping forward to serve, and I'm grateful to all of you. And I think it's safe to extend my congratulations as well, as I look forward to working with all of you. For those of you I have not had the pleasure of meeting, I'm Liz Klein, the current chair of the Select Board. It has been a great honor serving on the Select Board, and I look forward to continuing my service to the town. I've been reflecting on why I ran initially. I was seeking the privilege of serving in a significant role in town government, to address the flaws exposed by the pandemic and to tackle the many challenges we faced, from recovering from COVID-19 to the ongoing threat of climate change. I recognize that one of our biggest issues would be balancing the level of services our citizens expect and deserve with the available funding sources, while at the same time maintaining our financial health as a town. Hingham has emerged from COVID-19 pandemic with a focus on capital improvements, achieving a sustainable budget, expanding tax relief programs, and focusing on climate action goals. During my first term, I chaired the newly formed Sustainable Budget Task Force. We got together to analyze revenue, expenditures, and ultimately create a sustainable budget for the next several years. At the center of the Select Board and Advisory Committee recommendations to support the override was the FY 24 to 28 Financial Management Plan, identified by the Sustainable Budget Task Force as a best practice. It ensured ongoing fiscal responsibility by controlling budget growth for the municipal and school budgets at 3.5% through FY 28. The board remains steadfast in upholding this financial commitment to citizens with a 3.5% growth rate of the FY 25 municipal and school budgets being presented to town meeting this April, while also upholding our commitment to our most vulnerable learners. The board continues to support and value educational excellence across the district. Unassigned fund balance will be used for unpredictable, out-of-district special education costs to ensure all students receive the support they need and the education they deserve. The Select Board continues to seek additional revenue sources, including exploring commercial and residential development opportunities and expanding private-public partnerships as a strategic component to support future large capital projects. We will continue to work to structure a budget where reoccurring expenditures, such as wages and salaries, are supported by reoccurring sources of matching revenue. Equally as important, we must continue to strive to keep Hingham affordable for all residents and grow our stock of affordable housing. And I'm excited to turn our focus to the development of a new Center for Active Living, formerly known as the Senior Center. Last week, an architect was selected to conduct a feasibility analysis on 2 potential locations, Town Hall and Bear Cove Park. As we look to 2024 and beyond, the board remains committed to developing a state-of-the-art Center for Active Living. I'm proud of the progress we've made in advancing the town's environmental goals. The Climate Action Committee has completed a thorough and innovative climate action plan. We have included funding in the FY25 budget to hire a full-time sustainability coordinator that will help the town execute the climate action plan and combat changes in the environment threatened by the continued release of carbon and other climate-changing gases. Accessibility to local government is another area that I am deeply passionate about. I firmly believe that every voice matters. And as such, I have championed efforts to make it easier for residents to engage with elected officials and participate in decision-making processes, from hosting office hours and coffees to implementing hybrid meetings that accommodate diverse schedules and preferences, as well as initiating a monthly Select Board update newsletter. I am committed to ensuring that all voices are heard and valued in Hingham. As we look towards the future, there are still many challenges and opportunities that lie ahead for Hingham. From addressing the impacts of climate change to promoting economic development and affordable housing, there is much work to be done. However, I'm confident that with your continued support of dedicated members like yourselves, we can overcome these challenges and build a brighter future for Hingham. Thank you.
Thank you. And next up for the Board of Assessors is a 3-year term. We have a candidate for re-election, Joshua Ross.
Thank you. First, thanks to the league for having us here tonight. I feel like this is deja vu. I think the 4 of us were up here, the exact same spots, exactly 3 years ago, doing the exact same thing. My name is Joshua Ross. I am the current chair of the Board of Assessors. And when I was up here 3 years ago, I was asked a lot of questions through these different forums of sort of what the board does and what the impact on the town is. And the information out there, honestly, wasn't a lot. A lot of the work is done in executive session, rightfully so, because we handle a lot of sensitive material. But I think in the past 3 years, we have done a really good job of trying to get out to the citizens of Hingham what we actually do in the Board of Assessors, as well as the assessor's office that we have here in town, which has 5 or 6 full-time employees. And they do the brunt of the work. In Hingham, we have approximately 8,000 individual residential parcels. Each one of those, by law, needs to be reassessed every 10 years. So you can imagine the amount of work that goes into reviewing and analyzing data when it comes to assessments in this town. We get 80 to 90% of our revenue every year from taxes. It is a fixed amount. You know, our expenditures are a lot, but I think Hingham has a revenue problem, and not because of the ways you think. It's because of Prop 2.5 and just the limitations that we have with the way we can assess our properties and gain the taxes from that. And so one of the things that we try to do in the assessor's office, and some of you may have seen the last year or so, is to fairly and accurately assess properties. And so over the last couple of years, we've gone through a reval, which is done by, required by the state every 5 years. So we did that at the end of last year. In addition to that, the real estate market in Hingham is booming. So some of you may have seen a significant increase in your assessment. And so that's, pretty much the reason for that. So one of the things that we do look at is looking at what we can do to not only properly collect taxes, but to help those in our community that need it the most. And so the work we have done over the last 3 years has been really focused on creating and building tax relief programs for our most vulnerable citizens. So we have a senior means tested exemption. And so people who qualify can apply and get up to $1,200 this past year in property tax relief. This is the third year in the program. In the first year, we had 24 applicants. This past year, we had 111. So we had an increase of almost 400% in 2 years, which we are extremely proud of. The first year we issued $21,000 in credit, and this past year we issued $104,000 in credit to those that need it. So going forward, what we want to do, and what I think we've done a good job at, is getting the word out. And so the next step in not only reaching the residents who would qualify for this, but to start reaching family members and neighbors to reach out to the people they know that may qualify for this program. We have, this year, the governor signed in the tax bill, we are doubling not only the state tax credit, but the local tax credit, which is our program is tied to. So now seniors can have up to $5,000 in both income and personal property tax. So we're going to focus on doing that. In closing, I think there's a lot of work to do in Hingham. I think the Board of Assessors plays an important role in that, even though sometimes they're not always on the forefront of master plans or other planning procedures in town. But it's been a pleasure serving, and I look forward to the next 3 years. Thank you.
So the next office on the ballot is the town clerk, and it's for a 3-year term. And Carol Falvey is the candidate for re-election, and she was not able to join us tonight, but she did provide a statement. So I'm going to read the statement she provided. I'm Carol Falvey, and I'm running for re-election to town clerk. It has been an honor to serve in that role for the past 3 years. I have learned so much during this time, and most especially the breadth of services we offer to the community. Obviously, being an election year, voting is first and foremost on everyone's minds. As part of that process, we register voters and process early vote-by-mail applications. But in our everyday life, we issue and distribute birth and death certificates almost every day, post hundreds and hundreds of meeting agendas in compliance with the open meeting law, oversee the filing of marriage intentions, field public record requests, issue business certificates, and oh my, so many dog licenses, swear in new police officers and residents that serve on boards and committees, assist with town meeting, and submit filings to the Attorney General's office. As most of you know, when I ran for the position of town clerk 3 years ago, I brought municipal and charitable experience along with a legal background to the role. Previously, I had served on the Hingham School Committee for 6 years and was a trustee and past president of the Hingham Education Foundation. Because of these experiences, I understood the workings of town government and the various roles we all play in our community. I grew up in Hingham, part of a family which instilled in all of us the importance of public service. I graduated from Hingham High School, the College of the Holy Cross, and Suffolk University Law School. My husband, Mark Van Dyne, and I raised our family here, and our 2 kids graduated from Hingham High School and now have fulfilling careers of their own. In the term ahead, I would like to focus on expanding our communication efforts and hope to work with other stakeholders in this effort. People receive information in so many ways, and we need to learn and adapt to those communication channels. As well, I hope to look at ways to archive more of the town clerk records, one element of the master plan as it relates to my office. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge the help and support I've received from Eileen McCracken, who, in her retirement, has always been available to me and helped to smooth my transition in the office. So, that is from Carol. So, next up. Next on the ballot is the candidate for the Board of Health for a 3-year term, and the candidate is Mark London. He is not here tonight, and he did not provide a statement, so you can seek him out on your own. Then, next on the ballot is for the Municipal Light Board, and a term of 3 years, and the candidate for re-election is Laura Burns. She is with us tonight. So, Laura, take it away.
I wouldn't miss it for the world. Thanks to the League of Women Voters for once again sponsoring this very important and appreciated event. Hingham Light's mission statement adopted in 2017 includes the traditional role of delivering affordable, reliable electricity and adds a commitment to sustainable operations and a promise to achieve a carbon-free electricity portfolio. In 2021, the town of Hingham adopted a goal of reaching net zero carbon emissions across the whole town by 2040. When a community transitions away from fossil fuels, it inevitably turns towards meeting its power needs with electricity. This will both increase demand on our system and bring changes to the seasonal and the daily profile of the demand, and some of those may be dramatic. My first goal is to help ensure that Hingham Light is prepared for the future so it can maintain its 131-year record of delivering affordable, reliable electricity into the era of mass electrification. To do that, Hingham Light needs to complete an upgrade of the transmission service coming into our substation. Right now, all of our electricity comes into town on 2 lines which are on the same set of poles. Needless to say, this is a vulnerability that should be fixed. If those poles went down, the entire town would be dark. But fixing this is a lengthy and large project. It involves bringing a new transmission line underground over a different route from Weymouth to a new substation located right next to the old one. It would be possible to maintain service to the entire town just with that line, even if the other 2 went down. This project was underway when I joined the board, and it's quite possible that it will still be underway when I leave it. That's how long electrical grid improvements take. But it's fallen to the current board to take the painful step of raising rates in order to fund this project. We are putting revenue from increased rates into a depreciation fund to allow us to buy down the size of the bond that we'll need to avoid a much larger rate shock later. The cost of the project was first estimated at $65 million the year I joined the board. It's now estimated to be $110 million, but I doubt that will be the final figure. Why is this project so important? Its original purpose, as I said, was to ensure reliability. But since the time it was first proposed, a study has shown that the increased capacity which this new line represents will be required to meet the expected rise in demand from the trend towards electrification. With this project completed, we'll be well situated to meet the demand of the future. Without it, we will still inevitably face the need to increase our capacity sometime in the future at what will always be a higher price for the project in the future. I was asked to talk about how my goals fit with the goals stated by the master plan. The master plan emphasizes the need for careful energy planning, which is my #1 goal, and the plan explicitly calls for support for the very transmission project I just described to you. The master plan also speaks of the need to continue community education on energy efficiency and increasing the use of renewable energy, and calls on Hingham Light to better promote existing incentives and to find new incentives for electric vehicles, energy efficiency, and renewable energy. This goal is being met by Hingham's Electrify Hingham program, which I helped to design. I have 2 new goals for my second term, both of which track with the master plan recommendations. Both have also unanimous support from the board and the general manager. I would like Hingham Light to adopt a demand response program. which is a way for customers to save money and the light plant to cut its use of energy at peak times. Customers would opt in and be paid to allow their home appliances to have their energy usage lowered at peak times. Customers would save by cutting their usage, and all ratepayers would save even more because peak time energy is the most expensive energy that we buy. My second goal is to change the way Hingham Light charges for electricity. Right now, every kilowatt hour a customer buys is charged at the exact same rate, even though the price Hingham Light pays to provide that energy varies widely over the day. In a rate structure called time of use, customers pay more than the average rate for using energy at peak times and far less at other times. Customers can save by shifting their electricity usage to cheaper times of the day, and all ratepayers save by lowering the amount of expensive energy we buy, which is also the dirtiest energy we buy. Not least important, when customers use the most expensive energy we buy, they will pay the extra cost, and it won't fall on all the ratepayers as it does now. Establishing a demand response program and shifting to time of use rates will put Hingham Light and its ratepayers in a great position for the future. Thanks very much for being here. I'm very happy to meet with my neighbors to talk about anything Hingham Light related at any time, as I find it endlessly fascinating, and I hope you do too.
So thank you to our first half of our program tonight, and you may all take your seats. And once they sit down. Oh, wait. Hold on. Before you join us, can you sit for just a minute? Hold on just a minute. Can you sit? Sorry. So the next two offices on the ballot, the candidates are not with us this evening, so I'm going to read statements that they've submitted. Next one is the Housing Authority. It is for a 5-year term, and Janine Suchecki is the candidate for re-election, and she provided this statement. It is the mission of the Hingham Housing Authority to enhance our community by creating and sustaining safe, decent, sanitary, and affordable housing environments for people of low income. We service a community of more than 108 diverse occupants, acting as a catalyst for positive change. Our Board of Commissioners consists of 5 members who oversee the direction of the Hingham Housing Authority. It is the responsibility of the board to plan and set policy while working within the constraints of governing regulations. In my first 5-year term, I am proud of the accomplishments, improvements, and programming at the Hingham Housing Authority. But most importantly, I am grateful for the opportunity to serve the public in this capacity alongside a diverse group of commissioners who have enhanced the lives of our tenants and staff. Thanks to my fellow commissioners Irma Lauder, Megan Buer, Ruth Bennett, and Michelle Larnard for your dedication to serving Hingham. I look forward to what we accomplish together in the next 5 years. Please check out our website resource at hinghamha.com to learn more about the Hingham Housing Authority and our many resources. Or please join us for one of our upcoming monthly meetings in the community room at 30 Thaxter Street, normally held on the second Tuesday of the month at 5 p.m. The public is always welcome. Thank you, Janine Suchecki for hingham@yahoo.com. P.S. And please consider volunteering to serve on a board or committee. That is from Janine. Then next on the ballot is the school committee officers. There are 2 spots open this year for 3-year terms, and Timothy J. Dempsey and Carrie J. Nee are both candidates for re-election, and they provided a joint statement to be read. This isn't a typical election year, so rather than individual statements from each of us, we are standing together to ask for your support for our re-election to the Hingham School Committee. We stand together with our common goal of fostering a supportive environment for all students, families, and educators. We thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum and for all you do to engage Hingham voters. We wish we could join you tonight, but we have a previously scheduled collective bargaining session with the teachers union. First and foremost, we are excited for the opening of the new Foster Elementary School. This state-of-the-art facility will provide our students with modern learning environments that promote innovation, collaboration, and academic excellence. We are committed to ensuring a smooth transition for students, staff, and families as we embark on this exciting new chapter in our district's history. Additionally, we are fully dedicated to the continuation and enhancement of our multi-tiered Systems of Support program. Multi-tiered Systems of Support has proven to be an invaluable framework for addressing the diverse needs of our students and ensuring that every child has access to the resources and support they need to thrive academically, socially, and emotionally as we continue to recover from the COVID-19 pandemic. Furthermore, we support the ongoing improvements in special education. It is imperative that we provide exceptional support to students with special needs and their families, and we are committed to implementing policies and funding measures that prioritize best practices, responsiveness, empathy, and collaboration. In our efforts to maintain positive relationships with our educators, we are diligently working towards closing fair contracts with the Hingham Education Association. Teachers and educational staff play a vital role in shaping the future of our students and community. We are committed to ensuring that they receive competitive compensation and are supported in their professional endeavors. This has been a very challenging negotiation cycle as we work within the town's financial means to craft contracts that demonstrate our respect and support for all of Hingham's educators. We are also fully dedicated to working to heal relationships that may have been damaged during this cycle. Finally, Hingham Public Schools are just beginning to explore the option of establishing a new elementary therapeutic program to better meet the needs of students who require specialized support services, and we look forward to supporting this work. By investing in early intervention and targeted interventions, we aim to create a more inclusive and supportive learning environment for all students. In conclusion, we are deeply committed to advancing the educational experiences and opportunities available to the students of Hingham. We look forward to collaborating with our community stakeholders to ensure that every child receives the support and resources they need to succeed. Together, we can continue to further Hingham's vision of a school district that fosters excellence, equity, and innovation for every student. Okay. Now, whoops, wait a minute. I am trying to be, okay. So now I invite our next group of candidates to join us at the table. We have 3 candidates, so come here. Okay, so next on the ballot for the planning board for a 5-year term is our candidate for re-election, Kevin Ellis.
Thank you, Liza. As Liza said, my name is Kevin Ellis. I am a candidate for election to the planning board. I have been serving for the last 5 years, which is, I think, the longest term of a board in town. So I've done my service, and I'm signing up for a new term. I've been the chair for 3 of the 5 years, and I'm currently the chair of the planning board. Through COVID, we kind of kept the same chair for some continuity purposes, but normally we rotate through the board. So why am I running again? The last 5 years has been incredibly informative. I mean, you want to learn about the town of Hingham, you get involved in the town of Hingham. I mean, I think you just don't understand the issues, the depth of resources that are available to you in town. You don't understand, all the pieces that go in, not in just in town hall, but into the different volunteer organizations in town until you get involved. So to me, it's been incredibly informative as a resident, and it's something that I really enjoy. And I look at it as kind of, you live in town, and the way you are part of town is you give back to the town by serving. Some of us do their coaching or scouts. My bend is more towards the volunteering for the public offices, but we all do it in different ways. But I found it very fulfilling, and I'm excited to do this. This is not in my professional wheelhouse, so I've learned a lot professionally. In a second almost career in terms of zoning and in terms of planning, because it's not what my day job really entails, although somewhat related. what does the planning board do? I mean, we plan, but I mean, and I don't mean to sound glib, but I mean, the planning board kind of touches on all aspects of the town. Liz had mentioned environmental issues, business, revenues. Michael had talked about the character. You've heard the master plan referenced several times tonight. The school committee piece talked about Foster. The planning board touches on all of those pieces. They don't necessarily drive them from the beginning, but they touch on each and every one of them. So they are, in some ways, kind of a board that oversees a lot of the public aspects of the town, the things that impact all of us. Some bigger examples are, helping see Foster School through, helping see the public services facility through. Some smaller ones, some that don't come to fruition. Amazon wanted to open a warehouse in the town. We spent a lot of time working with Amazon and talking to them, thinking about traffic and impacts and hours and when a business can be run, and then they didn't come and do it. But we went through the process because it was helpful to the town to understand what would this look like for the town? Would it be positive? And if they were to come to town, how would we want them to interact with the town? How do they fit into the framework that we have that exists for them? For some of us, we do a lot of residential oversight. When residential redevelopment hits a certain threshold, the planning board oversees part of that process. And that touches on, I think, probably most people in the sense that they're neighbors to someone who's redoing a home, or they're in a neighborhood where homes are being redone, and the planning board gets involved there. And I see that as a really important role for the board. Not so much the impact we have on the project itself, although that can be significant and meaningful, but it helps facilitate conversations among neighbors, between neighbors that might not necessarily want to talk to each other because a project could be contentious. It helps neighborhoods come together and talk about what the vision for that neighborhood might be. So I see that as a really integral part of what the planning board does. And to me, that's probably been where I think we have the most day-to-day impact in town. The thresholds have changed for where we see projects, so we're seeing fewer of certain kinds of projects, but more projects that have kind of a bigger impact on lots. And I think because we see projects where there's a bigger impact on the lot, we're having more meaningful discussions with neighbors and helping facilitate those. Thought it was illustrative to look at what the town website says for the planning board and what the roles are. On top of that list is adopting a master plan. I don't want to take any credit for that. I give Gordon Carr, one of the colleagues on the board, all the credit for that. But the planning board facilitates that process. And that master plan is this assessment of where we are. It's a vision of where we want to be, and it's the plan of how we get there. And the planning board doesn't implement that at every level. That's left to all the different various groups in the town and different stakeholders in the town. But it's an important part of kind of helping guide the town. Other aspects of the planning board are really zoning related. We propose bylaws. We're typically the advocates for initial bylaws. You'll see 10 of them on the warrant this year if you've taken a look. Some of them are imposed on us, the MBTA Communities Act. Some of them we put forth, new uses for zoning, perhaps brew pubs, helping facilitate cell phone kind of towers or facilities in town. A couple years ago, we tackled ADUs. And the way I see that is we generate the conversation, we put forth an idea, and we present it to the town, and town meeting as a body gets to decide what they want to do with it, but we help facilitate the conversation that brings that there. To me, it's another really integral role of the planning board. And then we do some of the more mundane, the site plan review, the zoning review on certain projects. That's the day-to-day. I look forward to talking to people as they have questions about what we do, and I'm happy to entertain any this evening or after.
Great. Thank you. Okay, so next up is the role for Sewer Commission, and it's a 3-year term, and Clark Fraser is a candidate for re-election.
Good. Well, I thank everybody for coming tonight, and can you hear me? I'm having trouble hearing myself. Just my background, I'm a MIT graduate, Bachelor of Civil Engineering, and a Master of Science in Transportation. I ran originally 3 years ago for the Sewer Commission. I'm now chair because of some issues in our neighborhood, a moratorium on connections and other things, which we've, I think, got rid of partially. But the town of Hingham has 3 sewer districts. The Hingham North Sewer District, now serving Hingham Square, was built in the 1950s and is now reaching about 70 years of age. It serves Crow Point, Hewitt's Cove. The Weir River District serves West Corner and Rockland Street and Hull Street, and has some interconnections with there we transport wastewater to Hull. who processes it, and Cohasset has some connections. We serve some Cohasset locations. There's also, and I should say that the main sewer district is, we send wastewater to the MWRA for processing. And I'll say right here, because I have time, that creates a dilemma for the town because we're not allowed to change the boundaries of that district. So for instance, the French Street parcel that's in the MBTA zoning is outside our reach right now with our current resources. Then we have a district that was never built in South Hingham. And I think our biggest concern there is the aquifer. The biggest concern along the shoreline was water quality. When I moved into Bonnie Briar Circle, you could not swim in the river there. And now I'm able to kayak, and people use it for swimming and things like that. So that's been a big improvement. There's still areas that remain unserved, particularly around World's End, that touch the water. There may be other sensitive areas in the town that ought to, where septic systems will no longer work. Now, next thing is the 2024 town meeting warrant includes a once-in-a-generation $13 million bond issue, which I'm grateful to Laura that she has a $110 million bond issue, so this should be a significant comparison. But to replace the sewer main on Lincoln Street, Route 3A, from Bear Cove Pump Station and Downer Avenue to the MWRA pump station at Stotter's Neck. The force main has experienced 12 failures in the last 21 years, and there should be a patch in 3A for each one. We also have a big patch on North Street, which we'll have to address at some point. Last year, the commission submitted a smaller bond issue to complete the design, and so it'd be shovel-ready. The project should qualify for an up to $2.5 million ARPA grant, which that's one of the reasons why I wanted to push for the bond issue to design last year, so if money was available, we'd be able to get it, and I think we'll be successful. Ratepayers will be responsible for paying off the bonds. Now, the sewer department, in my view, needs a strategic plan and an asset management system to maintain, so we can maintain predictable and stable rates. Other system components identified as life expires will also require attention, like North Street, Malcolm Street. We just had a big failure there, and the people who lived near there had 24-hour, could hear trucks for 24 hours a day for several weeks because we had to truck everything from there. The most immediate issue is to improve the I&I program, which is infiltration, which is water that comes in between sewer joints, and then we also have flow, illegal flow, that gets into the system. We're pumping more, we're sending more water to the MWRA than comes out of the tap. So we need to do that. Now, the biggest thing we have to do, and it relates to this, the master plan, is to resiliency, which is not the same as sustainability. Resiliency means we have to be able to withstand anything up to a Category 2 hurricane. And right now, we have about 5 pump stations, which potentially could be damaged in a storm like that. And with sea level rise, we're having more and more problems happen this year with water getting into the system and flooding. So I would ask for your vote for re-election so that I beat blank. And also ask for your vote on the bond issue at town meeting, bond warrant 18. Thank you.
Okay, so I applaud you for asking for the vote. Good job. Everybody wants to be blank. That's a great goal. Okay, so next, our last candidate tonight is for the Recreation Commission for 5 years, and it's an open seat. And so Steve Melia is our candidate here tonight.
Thank you, Liza. Yes, you got the name right. Although my name is actually Stephen C. Melia Jr., but Carol told me that all the placards are already printed out, so I couldn't change my name until after the election. Yeah, I am the new guy relative to, this is my first election, so I thought I'd give a little bit of my background and then why the rec was interesting to me. And I promise I won't go near the 5 minutes either, and we can all leave and go home and eat dinner. So I grew up in Hingham. My wife grew up in Hingham. I graduated from Hingham High School. I have 3 kids, a sophomore, 8th grade, and 7th grade, all in the Hingham Public Schools. And they are actually 7th generation Hingham on my mom's side. So we've been around for a while. I was looking at the picture, probably the guy standing next to the pole doing nothing was probably an ancestor of mine. I'm currently the president of the Hingham Girls Softball League as well, and that got me really to have a lot of interaction with the rec department, with the rec commission, and the work that they've done and what they do to make sure that all fields and all playgrounds are accessible to everybody and to all town residents was really something that that resonated with me, which is exactly what we try to do with a sports league in town. A youth sports league, it doesn't matter what your ability level is, but if you want to come and have fun and probably hang out with your friends and learn a few things, then that's what we want for a kindergartner, a first grader, or a second grader to do when they're playing softball at that level. So, and the rec department is part of the master plan. When I first started, back up for a second, when I first started working with the rec department, I didn't really work with them that much. You work with the rec department on some fields, you work with the schools on other fields, you worked like just a plan or something as simple as putting a porta potty on land. You had to like call 5 different people to make sure I could actually put a porta potty for a kindergarten kid there. Since the master plan, which I think was part of the field study that was done a few years ago, everything now comes through the rec department. So I only have to call Mark Thorell at the rec department to say that I'm going to put these 5 porta potties around these 5 different fields in town. And the work that they've done to consolidate everything, the whole fields, the playgrounds, everything runs and looks much better out behind Town Hall. It was a big project over the last 2 years. On the baseball field, there's a new scoreboard, there's new backstop, there's new batting cages. There's a fence that is much closer in, which I pitched in high school, and I was glad that we had the further fence than the closer fence. And then there's a new hockey rink and a new basketball court and a path that connects all of them. And there's going to be a new playground that goes in with this path that connects all of them. So the work that they're doing already and the work that they've done over the last few years has been really impressive to me. So I'm looking forward to hopefully joining the board if I can beat blank as well. Thank you.
Good. Okay, well, thank you to all of our candidates for participating in our program tonight. This evening has definitely delivered us an interesting, informative, and I believe beneficial conversation for the voters of Hingham. I will make a note that one of the things in the master plan does request that there's a gathering every year of all committees and boards so that they could share ideas of what they're working on. And we came close to that tonight. So thank you for everyone. I learned a lot myself, so thank you very much. I want to thank our league members, Chris Wilk, and Julie Straley and Patty Quayle for timing tonight. Chris is our coordinator extraordinaire, so the event wouldn't happen without her. So thank you very much. And a big thank you to Harbor Media, Hingham's Community Access Media, for partnering with the League this evening tonight and many of our events. We greatly appreciate the services you provide to our community. And I will note a recording of this event will be shared in the weeks leading up to the election. And the League will also post the link of the video to tonight's footage on our website. And you can also find the footage of all previous candidates' night if you want some nostalgia. Those are posted on our website. So the League does remind everyone, democracy is not a spectator sport. We encourage your participation and just want to remind everyone that Election Day is Saturday, April 27th. Right before that, town meeting this year is on Wednesday, April 24th. So please remember it's a Wednesday, not the Monday, due to respecting Passover celebrations. And the deadline to register to vote for both of these important events is this Friday, April 12th. And mail-in ballots are now available as well. So thank you all. That's the conclusion of our evening. Thank you very much for supporting Hingham.